There we go. Well, good morning. I'm Preston from the Lafette Senior Center, and with me this morning I have Amy from Hearth Hospice, which is kind of hard to say if you try to do it 3 times, but Hearth Hospice. So, but I'm glad to have Amy here. She's not a stranger to the center. I know that. We've seen her many times before. She has come here many times in the past, helping us out for different events. But I want to ask Amy a few questions as more of an interview today. The interview will be short, but it'll be very informational. But I want to ask Amy a few questions, if you don't mind, do you?
Not at all.
Well, I want you to tell us a little bit about what services that Hearth Hospice provides for people in our community.
So with Hearth Hospice, along with all types of hospice care, we provide not just end-of-life care. That's a misconception that a lot of people, when they hear hospice, they get really scared of that term. They think, oh, well, if hospice is coming in, I'm terrified. But we provide so much more than end-of-life care. We have different resources that we can help you when you're in your home or you're in a facility. We can bring in supplies that you need, equipment that you might need. We have a therapy dog. We've got grief counseling. We have our nurses and CNAs who come in and help within the home. I'm the volunteer coordinator for our Georgia office. I handle our volunteers that come in who, if your family member may need to run to the store or have a doctor's appointment and you or your loved one is on hospice care and you need someone to come in and sit with you while they run and do the things that they need to, we have people who are volunteers for that can come in and read or help clean the house or do some grocery shopping for you, whatever you might need.
Right.
We offer a lot of different things like that.
You know, that's really important, especially when someone is, and we'll talk about the term palletized here in a minute. I have some questions to ask you about what that means. But when we have someone who's sick in our household and they require 100% of our attention all the time, and we can't leave to get groceries when that happens. It's very difficult. You don't want to. Or even taking a break. You're on high alert all the time because you're attending to those needs. To have someone who could volunteer to come in, agency would come in and maybe give you a little bit of time off to where you can take care of bills, taking care of going grocery shopping, as you mentioned. These are so important, and a lot of folks don't know those services exist in the community, but now we're learning that they do. So if you have a loved one who has entered into this hospice care realm, and maybe whoever is staying with them maybe needs a little break, or maybe some more information about hospice, you can call us here at the center, or call, I'm sure she'll give some information about how to contact Amy directly or her organization if you need those services as well. But that's really informational. A therapy dog is also important. Where do you take your dog when you have people who want to see a therapy dog?
So with our therapy dog Charlie, one of our social workers is his handler, and he goes to facilities or he can go to patient home depending on who wants to see him, who needs to see him. Sometimes just somebody who's bedridden inside a facility and seeing a dog come in that they can love on and pet and care for that, even that brief moment when we're there, they just, their whole attitude changes. They light up. You would think like just being able to hold a dog, like it just makes somebody's day a little better sometimes.
Yeah, and dogs are really good for that.
Yes.
I'm a dog person. I love dogs. And we have taken our dogs, one of them, actually both of them, they were in a rehab center for 3 years. One dog had gone to training, and the other one was kind of a dog in training. He just kind of followed the other dog around, but they're big collies. And we found out a lot of people may not respond well to other people all the time, but some people respond so well to dogs. And it makes you happy when you're around a dog.
Yes.
Dogs seem like they're always happy to see you, and you're always happy to have been in the company of a nice little dog during the day.
Absolutely.
And so I like that, and that's a great service to provide, especially some people who really like dogs.
Yes.
It really is. As I mentioned during the opening, Amy is no stranger to our facility here. I can go back to our Christmas party this past year. Amy, you may not know it, but this was the Grinch in costume. Amy came in, danced away. The costume, it was probably 140 degrees inside her costume, but you would not have known it. She had a great time with us. and encouraged all our seniors to dance. And it was her father-in-law, that Terry Williamson, that's who he is. Terry Williamson came in. He was our singing Santa Claus. We also had Terry come back a couple months later after that. He sang songs for us, entertained our seniors as well. He's such a wonderful guy. He has a great personality. He's real charismatic and a very good musician and singer. So, but he did a great job at Christmas time. We were so impressed with the whole operation, or the whole program at Christmas time. It was so fun. I know that our seniors, you recall those days. You still have pictures to remember it. We had a fun time. So with that, we're going to get Terry back here again if that's possible.
Absolutely. We're hoping to do more with the Grinch costume this year and more with singing Santa. COVID-19 has kind of made my job planning activities for all of our facilities and coming to the senior centers. It's gotten a little bit more tricky, and we're having to figure out new ways to do things and social distance while we do these activities, and help out where I can, and volunteer where I can to help in any way for our seniors. And so this Christmas, if all this is still as crazy as it is right now, we're going to have to figure out a new way to bring in singing Santa. But we're definitely, it's still on the table, and we definitely want to be able to bring them in.
Yeah, we'll put it behind a big plastic shield so we can still hear them and see them. But I'm hoping and praying that we will be back as close to normal as possible by Christmas. We are planning the possibility of opening early, perhaps even the first week of September here. That's the latest word we have. Again, it's all fluid, subject to change. But again, working in the COVID-19 world, it's challenging to all of us. And I know especially when you have to go in people's homes, and there's always that concern that you never want to maybe infect or pass germs on to our clients that we're there to help. And with that, I want to ask you a couple of questions, a little more specific about the services that you provide. Now, what qualifies someone to receive hospice care, just in general, and then we can kind of drill down and maybe talk about specific cases. But in general, if I needed to have we talk about what you provide, but what level or what state of illness or health should I or need I be in before I'm eligible to receive care or at least services from hospice?
So we don't have like an age limit or an age requirement per se. Our hospice, we personally don't see people under the age of 18, which a lot of people don't realize that people under the age of 18 may need hospice, or even younger people just in general. There's a lot of different diagnoses that can qualify you for hospice care, and some of them are, heart disease, Parkinson's, renal failure, COPD, Alzheimer's, strokes, ALS, all forms of cancer. And the way that you find out if you're eligible for hospice is you can simply call our office, and we can get you in touch with our people that will come out and evaluate you, or you can go directly to your primary care physician, and they can put the order in and have hospice come out. It's easy to get started with hospice, and there's no income requirement, there's no income cap. There's it's really simple. People don't think that it's as easy as it is to find out information about hospice.
Yeah. Well, that's good information. I talked to Amy prior to the camera starting, and we mentioned that there was a time, even when I was growing up, I've never heard of this type of care. But as we get older, the incident rate of cancer maybe increases, and other ailments. We know people, not just people who have had hospice care or in their families, but many of us have seen hospice come into our relatives' homes, even my parents, there as they were both suffering with cancer at the same time and were terminal. And the hospice care they received was certainly needed, but it was done by qualified professionals who were caring and loving. And looking at what they do, I see this as one of the more difficult jobs you could ever have because it affects your heart.
It does.
And that really says a lot about anyone who would kind of even want to go into the field, this service field especially, that there's something different about them to begin with. That someone who can provide the level of care and compassion that people sometimes in the last stages of their lives.
It is absolutely, it takes a special person and a special team of people to be able to do this job and to handle this job the way that the professionals, at least at my office, handle it. Being able to go in and not only care for the patient, but while you're caring for the patient, care and comfort for their loved ones also, because it's so difficult for them. Their loved one may have already come to terms with whatever's going on with them, and the loved ones are having to watch, and it's very difficult. And that's why we offer grief counseling, and we have other things that we can do to help the families kind of ease through this process as much as possible. But like I said, for anyone, it's not only end of life care that we offer. We have other things to help improve the quality of life while they're dealing with whatever their diagnosis is. We see a lot of people who actually live longer when they're on hospice than they do if they wait and just continue going to their primary care physician, because we can make it easier for them. We can bring in their medications and do x-rays and things like that in home or in facility, instead of them having to go out constantly and exert all this energy to.
That's pretty amazing.
So
yeah, let's park there for a moment. Now again, most of us have know hospice as being someone who's in their final stages of life, coming in either at the home, providing a certain level of care and visitation, making sure medications are administered if that's the case. But looking at people who are not there at that stage, maybe have those ailments that you talk about, that they don't have to be at their last stages of life to be able to be eligible for some care from hospice. I know that we have a lot of folks maybe watching right now who maybe have some of those ailments that you talked about. And again, connecting them with the resource. What's the best way to do that? You mentioned calling. Would it be through calling Hearth Hospice directly?
you can call Hearth Hospice directly. You can call me. Like if you ever have someone come here, you have my number. They can reach out to me and I can put them in contact. We have not just our Georgia office, we have multiple offices. We have a Chattanooga office, we have a Brunswick office, we have our, I apologize, we have our Fort Oglethorpe office. And at the end of the video, I'll absolutely give multiple phone numbers for whatever facility you would like to call and speak to. And the thing about the hospice that I work for, we're a privately owned and operated hospice, and if we feel like there's something that we can't do for you, we're going to put you in contact with the people who can. That's the biggest thing about our company.
Okay, that's important. Well, we talked about what your facility does, what hospice does, and we talked about the qualifications, who qualifies, and which is almost surprising probably to me and a lot of others, is that you don't have to be in your final stages of life to receive this type of care, but there are some qualifications that will allow you to receive the care in your homes. And we have a number of clients right now who are homebound that we take food to, and who would probably benefit from at least some of your services, if not all of them. So we'll get that information out here momentarily. And we talked about making the decision to pick up the phone and call. I talked about palletized care. And what is the definition of palletized care that maybe that y'all use?
For us, for palletized care, it's to help ease the symptoms and the pain and suffering that you're going through without actually being able to cure what ails you, because a lot of these diagnoses that people are suffering from, it's something that we can't cure, but we can help to alleviate some of the burden, the pain that they're suffering with and they're going through.
I understand. All right. Any more questions we can come up with, or any more information you can offer us?
We do have a lot of people who ask who pays for hospice. That is a big question. If you have Medicare and in your Medicare program, it's already built in to cover hospice, and a lot of private insurances also cover hospice as well. So that is one thing that we get asked a lot about, because they definitely want to know, like, I don't want to leave my family, like, burdened with a big bill from a hospice company. Most insurance companies will pay for hospice.
That's very good news.
So and then we have a lot of people who ask, well, if I live with my family or if I live in a facility, does that qualify or disqualify me for hospice? We go to all forms of living facilities, living at home with a family member, living in a facility, assisted living, senior apartments, anything like that. They're all okay for us to go to.
All right. Well, I think that covers most all the bases here. It answered my questions, and again, if you have any other questions, you can contact Hearth Hospice or us here if you're a client here, and I can provide that information or those questions and forward them to Amy and her organization. But she also has the contact numbers herself. She'll go ahead and let us know right now.
You can contact our Fort Oglethorpe office at 706-866-9854. It's located in Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia at 83 Crylike Drive. It's right across the street from the Walmart shopping center and the Hobby Lobby Center. We service this area. We go to several counties that surround us as well. If you're interested in me coming to do activities or any of our other things that we offer, like our therapy dog, our music therapy, things like that, you can reach me at 423-619-6135. And I really hope that I get to start coming back and being at the senior center here and bringing the birthday cake and hanging out with all of y'all some more, because I miss seeing everybody. That's been the hardest part about COVID-19 is all the people that I got used to seeing on a regular basis.
Well, they're anxious to see you too.
Oh, goodness.
So especially birthday time, monthly, we have a big birthday. Instead of celebrating the different days of the month where people have their birthdays, we usually have one at the very end of the month. Amy would bring a cake over, I think the third week, and we would have a cake, and everybody would get some birthday cake, and we would sing happy birthday and kind of act silly for that morning, during the lunch rather, that lunchtime, but we'd have a great time. But I'm grateful that Amy and her organization are able to provide for us, and all the other things you do for both centers here in Walker County. And with that, we hope you'll have a pleasant weekend. Happy Friday to you. And we all want to thank Amy for coming over and visiting with us today. And we hope you have a great weekend too.
Well, thank you, and I hope that I answered all the questions as well as I could. And I hope you all have a great week and weekend. And thank you.
Thank you.